Hey everyone, wherever you are, I hope you're having a wonderful week so far. We have the latest episode of the Inside Crypto Show. This is gonna be the end of June's interview. We're talking to some amazing people. It's been a very long time since we had two wonderful guests together. So, today's episode is going to be special. Today, we are joined by Second World co founders Carlos Cameo and Inigo Cavestini. Second World New Era is a free to play competitive and strategy mobile game that invites players to rebuild civilization one seed at a time on a real world inspired planet Earth. So, you guys have watched this podcast. I love gaming, I love games. So I'm excited to have a gaming podcast guest, not to mention two people on. But before we talk about the game, before we talk about Second World, I've got to talk about you guys. Maybe tell us a little bit about yourselves, how you guys met, why you guys are making this really interesting game in Web3 and crypto, and tell us what's going on.
Okay, so may I start? Actually, I've been like an entrepreneur my whole life. I started my entrepreneur career when I was 14 years old. I was on my room, I was a little bit bored, and I started seeing YouTube videos about game development because I loved games. It was the time when the App Store started with many apps popping out, and I just bought an iPod. Actually, my parents bought me an iPod and I thought, and I started downloading some games, and I just like, okay, I love this kind of apps of quick games, and I need to start learning how to develop it. So that's why I started learning and how to develop games when I was really young. I developed my first game, which was like a pretty bad game to be honest, but I was 14, so we can't ask anymore from me, but I loved it. And then I started developing and learning more how to program things and make things work. So later on, I founded my first startup when I was, I think, 18, probably. And it was there when I met Inigo. Inigo was actually, he was, if not our first, but our second investor in that startup. But then he later we became friends 2 years ago. We decided to start together with other co-founders Second World Games. That's it. When we started Second World Games, our main goal, we were gamers. I was a game developer. Inigo will tell you, but he was also very involved in gaming. So our vision was to create a game that we would like to play in the Web3 industry, which is also an industry we really loved and we were really engaged. That's how we met. That's how we started Second World. And right now, 2 years later, we have two games on the app stores, an in-house team. And actually, today it's a very special day because we are launching our token. It's been like 2 years of work. So today it's like actually I used to think that token launch was like the latest step in our journey, but now I think it's the first step of our journey. So today is the day. Yeah, I'm very happy to be here also.
Inigo, what about you?
Brian, thank you so much for having us here today. We have to say that we will never forget this podcast. We will record it and frame it and save it in a very special place in our hearts because apart from loving your discussions, today, as Carlos mentioned, it's a very special day for us. So regarding my journey, I'm not as brilliant as Carlos. So my first connection with gaming wasn't to develop games, but really to have fun with them. And to be fair, it was the reason why I have been working on technology and being super passionate about the space for the past 20 years. And I was so fortunate of having a geek dad in the good sense of the word, and that got me a PC computer when I was very young. Soon after, I got super fascinated about video games until I got a little bit obsessed playing them more than my mom thought was right. But to a point where actually I started playing competitively for the national selection in of my country of Spain for Medal of Honor. But that's not really impressive because at the time we were just a bunch of geeks like my dad having a good time, and in the end we didn't realize of how fortunate we were to be able to be playing games at the time. It was pretty much a luxury if you compare it to other sources of entertainment 20-25 years ago. I had a good internet connection, I had a good desktop computer, all my presents were around, getting the new graphic card that was trending. But all those things were luxuries that at the time I didn't realize how big they were. Obviously, today gaming has changed a lot. It has been democratized, so it's accessible to everyone. And people not only can play from their main device that everyone carries in their pocket, but also they don't have to necessarily spend money for having fun and meeting people from all around the world, the globe. So in my case, it wasn't only about having fun, but I didn't realize at the time that actually video games were providing me with a lot of other lessons when it comes to meeting people from other cultures, being able to learn English as a second language. Video games played an instrumental role in enabling many other things that weren't only about entertainment and having fun, but rather how to grow up as a, from kid to teenager and future professional. So on that regard, obviously, at some point, I decided to study and concentrate on my career. I never thought when I was 13, 14 years old that video games could be part of my professional life. I only would see them as the moment of leisure of the day, but never what I would work on in the future. So it's true that I spent 5 years in one of the most historical companies when it comes to tech development, that is IBM, because I really wanted to immerse in the technology space and really learn, like Cameo did with 14 years old, how to build technology and use it for good, and how to really build solutions to problems. It's true that the first startup I ever invested on without being any professional at the matter was the one that Carlos co-founded approximately 12 years ago. And essentially, they were building technology to solve customer challenges, customer problems. And I really wanted to get involved and learn from them, from more technical experienced masterminds like both Carlos's. And I ended up joining their startup as an angel investor, as a small investor. And that's how our relationship started. And 2 years ago, and as he mentioned, we all decided in the team that there was a huge opportunity in gaming and that we could really bring in a new vision and technologies that would really reinvent the status quo of players, and therefore the industry as a whole would level up. And that's what we've been working on for the past 2 years. And our mission is really to improve players' life, to shift the power that has been in the hands of companies, of game studios, and really involve players in our stories in a much more meaningful way.
That's a fantastic intro from both of you. I really appreciate it. And so interesting and so too hard. And I can see the connection you guys have. We've got to dive straight into it, right? You've talked about the big news. You've mentioned it twice. So I think maybe for the next questions, maybe you guys could talk about Second World and what you guys built and the game, and then also tell us about the TGE, the Token Generation event, why it's so special, why you guys have had many sleepless nights, and what's next. So whoever wants to take one question and the other person can take the other. I'll leave it up to you guys.
Okay, maybe I can start telling you a little bit more about our games and that, because we have mentioned that right now we have two games currently developed, and they are mobile games. They are available for everyone to download from the App Store. The first one is Fall Guys Fury Road. It's like an hyper casual racing game where you start competing in massive multiplayer races with other players, and the main goal of the game is to compete and to win in order to reach the top of the global chart. So that's Ball Guys Fury Road, which actually was not planned when we started the company. When we started the company, that's why the company is called Second World Games. We really only wanted to develop one game, which is Second World New Era. But then later on, we started developing, and we created the new concept, which was Ball Guys Fury Road, and we developed it to the until we finish it and we publish it. And the second game, it's Second World New Era. It's actually it was the game that we wanted to develop, and it's, as you mentioned, a city builder, competitive city builder based on the real world where the main goal is just to battle other players in PvP battles, one versus one. And again, the main goal is just to evolve your city, win other players, reach the top of the global charts, and it's everything based on the real world. You also need to go from one historical era to the latest one, starting from the Stone Age, going to the ancient Egypt, Greece, etc., and then you end up in the modern times. So it's like a concept that mixes the best of other games that already were created in the Web2 industry, like titles from Supercell. It's inspired on that kind of titles, but improved not only with Web3 technology, but also with some other concepts like the inspiration in the planet Earth, and also the need of going through the different historical eras. That makes it even more interesting. So why we started? It's simple. 2 years ago, it was the last gaming bull market. Actually, not gaming bull market, but crypto bull market. 2.5 years ago, it was getting to an end, this bull market, with crazy prices of almost every gaming related coin. So we, as investors, because we were participating at that time as crypto investors, we saw a common denominator in every game that was launching. And it was the denominator was there was almost no Web3 company launching great games. They were not thinking about the games, they were thinking about the token. They were thinking like about the money part of the things, not the gaming part and the fun part of the things. So that's why we thought, if these companies that doesn't have a game yet, tokens, and the industry is like welcoming it, accepting it, and thinking that this is interesting, what would happen or what could happen if these companies have great games? So that's what we decided. We decided to create great games, which is something that, based on our previous experience of myself and the rest of the team, we really knew how to do. So we started our journey. But then it was a reason why no Web3 gaming company had games at that time. And the reason is that creating games, it's a huge task. It's very difficult. So it takes time, actually 2 years. Creating a great mobile game takes between 1, 2 year, or even more if it's more complex. So that's what it takes us, and that's what the time that we needed to deploy or release games to the market. So right now we are approaching, or we are involved in a new bull market in crypto. You can see the Bitcoin prices, Ethereum, Solana prices. But then, as it happens always, the money will flow from top coins to altcoins, which are then other coins rather than Bitcoin, Ethereum, and that we will be there. We will be there, ready with our token launched from today on, with our games, with our gamers. We have more than 50K active gamers that we have been including in our communities since we launched the two products. That's what we intended, when we founded the studio, to arrive to the next bull market prepared. We have also 15 people in the team coming from the best of the best previous experience in startups, tech companies like IBM, for example, with Inigo, and definitely gaming. We have people working coming from Secret Six and other Pokemon company and other gaming company that are huge, and their experience is invaluable. So besides that, we definitely have surrounded ourselves with incredible collaborators. We are working closely with Immutable X. We are working closely with Polygon. We are also working in the acceleration program of Elika AI, which is an acceleration program based on AI. We really want to infuse the power of AI inside our games. Actually, we are doing so. That's it regarding our ecosystem. And when we finished our products, when we released them to the market, we thought that, okay, now we have made it. We are on the right spot. But then people, actually the same people that were thinking 2 years ago that there were no company, no gaming company with great products, started telling us that, okay, now you have the games, but you need something else. In a startup, in the startup ecosystem, or in the innovation space, there is always the need of, okay, now you have this, you need something else. And then when you achieve something else, you need something else. That's how things work, and that's how we evolve as humanity, maybe, but in the tech world, definitely. So we started thinking about something else, and this something else is like a new mode. Maybe later on I can explain it further, but We just need to recognize that in the Web3 gaming industry, we have two audiences. The first one is gamers, traditional gamers. They play for fun. That's it. And that has been the way from a lot of years from now. And the other audience is Web3 like investors. So investors doesn't want to play. They may play, but this is not their main goal. They want to invest on something that increases in value and then obtain like a return on investment. And gamers want to play. So the main problem that today it's happening in the Web3 gaming industry is that even though there are many companies, okay, not many, but there are companies releasing games to the market like ourselves, we haven't identified yet how to target these two audiences in the same game. Because if you target investors, they are not going to play your game. You need to incentivize them with some rewards that ultimately put a lot of pressure above you. And if you target gamers, then investors go away, and investors are definitely necessary. So we are like making up a mode or a model to mix both collectives in the same game. And we are developing this, and we really think that we are taking the correct approach. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Inigo, do you want to comment something about TGE?
Definitely, Carlos. Thank you for that. TGE for us is where everything starts, really, because we always had this Web3 power vision, as I mentioned before, to really expand the value proposition that we can offer to players. And on this regard, for us, it was a crucial milestone that we needed to reach to really not empower the players' experience with different touch points where they can become owners, decision makers, and earn value from their skills, their time, and in general for contributing to the project's objectives. So, in that sense, I believe that today starts a new era, like in our game, because we are going to be able to really provide the utility that we have been working on for our community. And this is important because for the past months, year and a half, we have been working very closely with our community in the right gaming experience, the right gameplay that would make them come back again and enjoy. And that has been thanks to the playtesting mindset that we have carried out. And this has allowed a phase in the games that is really seen, and the community is really surprising us with their positive feedback, and this is giving us all the energy to continuously evolve. But the job's not finished. We really need to introduce all the Web3 elements within our vision, within our user experience. From today, we are going to be able to start deploying all of it through summer, which is definitely great news. But regarding what's next, obviously, that's not where it all finishes up. We needed to keep the ecosystem vibrant. And as Carlos mentioned, we cannot only focus in one piece of the puzzle or one specific audience, but rather the entire ecosystem that may surround Web3 games. And with that in mind, we have created Fantasy Troop. And Fantasy Troop is a fresh competitive model that really brings in the whole space together in a really fun way. And obviously, it's very interesting as well for both players and investors alike. So, what Fantasy Troop in a way enables is that it introduces esports to Web3 by eliminating intermediaries and traditional Web2 models. We all have heard that esports is not really profitable, and the way it has worked in Web2 is essentially by onboarding brands that pay for the party through different publicity and marketing mechanisms. But what we really want to do is have a sort of peer to peer way of sponsoring players for them to do what they do best, that is, have fun, compete, win, and investors be able to earn some passive income from those bets. So, in a way, investors are going to be creating their own esports team within our ecosystem. and they are going to be able to put their SWIO to work. So the tokens that they own, they hold, they don't simply need to be on sitting on their wallets without any movement. They can really use them as well to sponsor players, to compete with one another, and earn a substantial cut from their victories. In this way, I think we are reinventing traditional staking mechanisms. We have heard from a lot of projects that provide these DeFi tools, mechanisms to really extract supply from the circulating supply and be able to grow the value of the tokens that are in the market by asking investors to block them for a period of time on exchange of upcoming future benefits. So what we are trying to do with this is to not only have great utility for players inside our games, but really to those holders that have trusted on the project and have obviously invested on the project expecting a return. They can now use their tokens as apart from speculation to really be involved in the games, but more as a coach, or as we call them, troop leader, rather than a player. That we understand that not every person in the world can play multiple hours, compete, and have a great time. There's people that have more busy lives and they can simply dedicate a few minutes or hours to this type of lessons, and perhaps they don't play with a very competitive mind but simply to have fun. So what we are trying to do is what gaming did when I got a little bit older and I stopped playing competitively. That was essentially to open up the ecosystem to many other stakeholders that were not simply playing. And with this, all the fever of content creators, streamers, in the end, gaming is, as I was saying before, brands. Gaming is not only about the players, but really all the fan base, all the communities that surround them. And in general, all these stakeholders provide value in different ways. So this is what we are trying to bring to Web3, but in a more decentralized and transparent way. So everyone can thrive in this ecosystem that really provides them tools to have more value than in traditional games.
Thank you guys. That's an amazing introduction, and I've watched videos, and I'll probably include some videos as well for other people to check out for today's podcast and the YouTube video as well. I mean, my big question is I've been playing games since 1988. It was the first time I started playing games back in the day. And now everyone's very familiar with Twitch and Valorant or Fortnite and League of Legends, and you name it, people play it. I play one blockchain game. I think I've tried a few. The one I play is decent. It gets into sort of my 40-year-old mindset of microeconomic management and process management and automation and that sort of genre of gaming. The thing I still do, like I do, besides this work podcast, I do a podcast, a gaming podcast, which is my main podcast. And the other two guys, one is here in Taiwan with me, and the other guy's in Canada, is sometimes I talk about blockchain gaming and I can see their eyes roll back in their head. Really again. I know the game I play, they're fine. They're fine with their 20, 30,000 person community. The way we spend, it's on Polygon, the way we spend Matic allows them to pay everyone's salaries, and the game can grow and they can keep putting out new content, right? So to me, blockchain gaming was always like, it's not, you don't need to sell 1 million copies like Elden Ring did, right? So with 50,000 players, does this make this economically sustainable for you guys? Are you looking to make this bigger? Are you looking to bring in traditional gamers into your game? What's the plan? Because I think blockchain gaming is awesome, and I agree with you guys, but I still can't convince people to say, give this a shot, try it out. Whoever wants to take this, go ahead.
Okay, actually, your friends are right. Right now, blockchain games that are running 100% of the blockchain have very few active users. And that's a reality. You can take it on chain whenever you want to. So we haven't reached it yet. We are not even close to the numbers of the traditional gaming industry. But there are many reasons for that. Maybe I can outline some of them, which are only my opinion, but I think many colleagues will agree. The first one is technology. Blockchain technology is not yet well integrated inside the gameplays. Right now, if you want to play most of the blockchain games out there, you need to know what a wallet is. You need to know how to start your seed phrase. You need to accept that there will be like MetaMask pop-up arising, and you need to accept transactions. You need to accept the concept of gas fees. You need money in order to play. So it's very difficult. The user experience is still not well integrated. I think it's well developed because there are huge companies that are doing this work or actually have done this work, but it's not well integrated in the majority of blockchain games out there. The other thing, and they are related, it's like if you are talking about 100% blockchain games, the players of those blockchain games belong to the first collective of investors. So they are not players. They play your game because okay, they could be players when they put the mask of the Web2 mask on. They you probably play Fortnite or Valorant or whatever, but they are playing your game because they think that they are gonna be earning money as a reward. So that's not sustainable. And that's not sustainable whether you have 100 players, 1,100 players, 1 million players. The more players you have, the less sustainable it is because everybody's trying to extract value from the company. So our approach here, and it's not only our approach, there are other companies trying these approaches to remove every technological barrier. Right now, our games are mobile games. They are published on the app stores. Everyone can search Second World New Era on the App Store or on Google Play, and they will find our game. They can click download and they can start playing by pressing a button play. That's it. And that how the process should look like in our opinion. As long as we understand that we need to remove every entry barrier and we need to use onboarding solutions that are very similar to the traditional gaming onboarding solutions, then we will reach the majority of players, which are Web2. Web2 players doesn't need to be convinced on or doesn't even know to need what blockchain is or doesn't need to even have a wallet in order to be able to play blockchain powered games. It happens the same with Netflix, for example. If you think about Netflix, Netflix has a lot of high tech functionalities that nobody cares about. I just press on the TV and then start watching my favorite series because Netflix somehow know what series I may prefer. So that's AI and a lot of other technologies. So we believe that's how things should work in the gaming industry. We need to stop talking about blockchain games. We need to start talking about gaming, start reaching the gaming public, which is the majority of Web2 public, and then integrate blockchain and its features from behind. That's what we believe. Because if we keep talking about blockchain games, if we keep focusing on tech, on difficult onboarding process, then we are only be gathering investors. And that's not sustainable at all. Investors should be or must be like a low percentage of the user base of a game and a very low percentage. Like in the real world, Netflix has investors, but the majority of users who use Netflix know what a stock is. So that's our point of view, and that's why we and other players are building and actually are delivering.
Inigo, do you want to add anything here?
Yeah, I think Carlos nailed it. In the end, we are talking to players as if they were investors or developers. So it's normal they get frustrated, especially when after all this chit chatting, they enter these games and they see that most of them don't have the quality of the games they love and play every day. With all of this in mind, it's normal all the fat, all the hate, because in the end, it's not that players are not looking for additional incentives or benefits in games. I don't think that's the problem. It's simply that no game has really tailored an experience that for them matters enough and has expanded that experience with Web3 yet. I think this is about to change. It's already starting to happen. But the moment really a killer use case comes in, it's a bit like when Fortnite all of the sudden came into play and said that all their games were going to be free. For the industry at first was like a big shock. Oh my God, this is going to destroy our business completely. And then they realize, oh wow, actually with the in-app purchases, with the brand collaborations, we can even have a much bigger user base, earn more from our brand activations, etc., and end up being a much more profitable business model than the one we had before, where you had to pay for each game, right? So I think this is similar, or just like it happened with AI recently. It's not that there are not a lot of companies, projects like us trying to change this, but soon enough there will be a use case that really impresses the world and arrives to the mainstream. And then players, once they see it work in a specific game, they will start demanding it everywhere. And it's how we play today most games via mobile. We play them online, we play them for free. Like all these things are now a standard. That wasn't the case just a few years back. So that's how the industry evolves. And we definitely see a lot of potential integrating Web3, not only for the end user, for players, but for the interest of the companies as well. If we see the growth that happened the moment we made games free, imagine the growth that we may experience if we actually empower players and provide them with more value than simply having a good time. And I think that's where we are headed, and it's inevitable, as we often say. But let's be humble as well and understand that there's still huge competitors in the Web2 space. That the experience layer, they are still getting it better, and that's in the end what matters the most. And on top of that is where you can build all the different values like ownership, governance, earning value, but that will be always on top and an expanded feature rather than the core of your game.
Fantastic. Thanks for the explanation, Inigo. Let's say somebody's watching this video, some people are watching this video, and they're like, okay, cool, I've downloaded on my iPhone, I've played the game, looks cool, looks interesting, right? And now they decide, okay, I want to get involved, I want to try out this blockchain thing, right? And correct me if I'm wrong, right? You don't have to do anything with blockchain once you're playing Second World Era. You can choose just to play the game, that's it, right? But if they want to take it a step further, like how do they do that?
Okay. Actually, as you mentioned, if you want to play our game, you can play it, and you could even be playing it for a year without knowing it's on the blockchains. Now imagine that you really want to use blockchain functionalities. You have been using them. Actually, you don't need to. For example, I'm going to put an example. Imagine you have a character, a troop, that you use to battle against other players. Okay. That character may be a premium character because you pay for it like $299. That's a premium character in the gaming industry. Not in the blockchain industry, is a lot higher, but we want to do things the way they are done. $299 for a premium character. So you buy that character, and now imagine that you don't want to play that game anymore because you want to start playing another game. That another game could be one game from our game studio that we are developing. So imagine you stop playing Second World Era and you want to play Ball Guys Fury Road, for example. So you can go to the marketplace, which is inside the game. You can put your character, sell your character to other players. So then you earn a currency. You don't need to to know that this currency is a token and it's on the blockchain. You earn a currency. You didn't need to know even that the character was an NFT also, but that's transparent for the user. We don't need users to know that, the same way we don't need me to understand AI in order to watch a series on Netflix. So you are using the blockchain. So now you have those currencies. You log in with your account, same account in Volkswagen Road, and you see that currency popping up on the screen so that you can use that currency for purchasing a battle pass, a skin, whatever you want to. So that's running on the blockchain. And why that's running on the blockchain? Because those are tokens, NFTs, ERC20 tokens, and those are tradable. And when you do a transaction, it runs on the blockchain so that everything keeps decentralized, secure, transparent, etc. So that's the power, not all of the power, but a part of the power of blockchain gaming.
Perfect. And that's really cool and really interesting. And I could talk more about it, but I'm not going to. Inigo, one question I want to ask you guys, and this is totally not prepared for today, but I feel like in the last 18 months, maybe even 2 years, I feel like there's a lot of not just blockchain gaming or development activity happening in Spain, I feel like I've kickstarted 2 or 3 games from Spanish small development studios. Is there a reason behind this? Do they just make excellent game developers in Spain? Is that the way it works?
I have to say that the gaming ecosystem in Spain has always been very strong where it comes to the end user, to the fans, to the players, to the content creators. We have some of the very, very top ones around the world established here, and they are very popular in on social networks. But in a way, what was missing the most was the business inside this space. So we had the end users, the customers, let's say. We have as well, we have built a great technical infrastructure for game studios, tech companies to really invest on Spain for the market to thrive. And actually, then we have other elements that are very interesting, like being one of the countries with more smartphones in the world, with more access to a strong connectivity. So we have all the pieces or all the ingredients for the recipe to be very tasty, but in a way what was missing was all the business power really meeting all those demands from the public. So happily, I think for the last 10 years we have seen a rapid growth, especially in the startup space, with different companies like us that have been building hard their projects, and it feels like it's changing. Obviously, it's there's still a lot to do and to go to actually compete with the biggest gaming hubs in the world. But I feel that the ecosystem, apart from growing, it's collaborating very intensively. So we are not that many compared to other places of the world in terms of businesses. But at the same time, I feel that all the businesses here, because of that, have a very collaborative mindset, and we are continuously trying to give value and contribute to each other so we can all grow at the same time at once, right? I feel that it has improved for the better, but there's still a lot to work on to be able to compete with some of the most iconic gaming capitals. But finally, it feels like businesses are starting to get in the level of players, content creators, and the overall technical infrastructure that we are so fortunate to have here.
Very interesting. And I know some people complain about me asking questions like this when I on the video. I'm like, but I have to because I've just seen this trend of Spanish names and located in Madrid, Spain, and every single Kickstarter and these awesome, fun, cool games. I'm like, oh, I wonder what is happening in Spain. Is it the water or something? But
It's a cool place to live, and gaming is about having memorable moments in the virtual world. So it's good to have a place where you can have that mix between the real life elements and the virtual worlds we craft. By the way, we are part of a government sponsor accelerator very
nice.
focused on gaming that is called Madrid in Game. And I think also when I was referring to the ecosystem collaborating in a fruitful way, I also meant not only the business side, but also the public sector that has understood that gaming is a very powerful instrument to attract talent, to retain it, and to actually be able to make a lot of money with it as well. So that's why the government has been investing a lot in this industry, because we are seeing, sadly, for the past decades, years, a lot of talent leaving Spain, looking for better opportunities, conditions, etc. And we know gaming, for example, is, for instance, when we left our comfort zones and our corporate jobs, etc., wasn't because we were expecting any quick financial return at all, actually. And we have been since then investing a lot of money into our dream project because we love it. And those are the jobs that Spain has realized that needs to nurture. So more people as well work on what they love, and probably the results and obviously the financial incentives will come later once you are the best doing what you love.
100%, and I totally agree. And I think anyone watching the video will listen. Like it's You can hear people who invest in games and people who are passionate about games, and there's a big difference. Guys, we've talked so many things, and best guests are always the people who answer all the questions I prepare without me having to ask them. Towards the end of the show, I'd love to give you guys a chance if there's anything you want to talk about, Second World New Era, something you want to plug. We know the TGE is happening today. If there's anything else you want to direct people to, or you want to talk about your Twitter somewhere for people to follow you, the floor is yours. I'll give each of you a few minutes. You can plug whatever you want.
Okay, so actually, first of all, thank you very much for inviting us. It's been a pleasure talking to you, and it's been also very easy answering all your questions because this is a topic that we really love. So we could be chatting about it a lot of time. So besides that, just the only thing left to say, we are very active on both Twitter or X and Discord. We are definitely also very active on the App Store and on Google Play. Search for Second World New Era or Ball Guys Fury Road on the App Store on Google Play in order to find us. In Twitter and in Discord, find us as Second World behind
Sorry?
the Twitter handle. It's Second World.
Underscore IO. Sorry, we never remember the word.
I
On
always have
Twitter?
a problem with the underscore word. Second World underscore IO. That's the X page. And also on our website where you can find everything about us, secondworld.io. It's the name. So follow us. If you are interested in what we are doing, just engage with us. We are very active, not only on podcast like this one, but also on X spaces. We are appearing several times a week, Inigo and myself alternatively. So we are very happy to discuss with you. You can access us very easily. So yeah, that's it from my side.
Yeah, I would like to elaborate what Carlos said that I actually love. We are founders that are literally on the trenches because what we are building is what we love doing in our personal life as well. That is having fun playing video games and everything that surrounds them. My main take is please stay tuned, reach out to us, tell us what you like of our project, tell us more importantly what you feel could be improved. The reason our games are at the quality that they are right now is because we have done a lot of play testing. We created a figure a year and a half ago when we were in the bear market and the sentiment for Web3 gaming, crypto wasn't at the peak. And we really took a lot of time to work together with our community on what was really missing on our games, what were the features that would really attract them. And I think this exercise at the time we didn't realize of how valuable would it be later on. So for us, feedback is a gift, and no matter from what perspective, from what the stakeholders, we are always looking for feedback because it's what really keeps us awake and humble because we know that we are never going to reach our final game version or product, hopefully, because that will mean that there's an interest from the community to continue iterating and improving it regularly. I think Second World is really understanding what players are looking for in the Web3 mobile space. It's a genre that is really innovative because it's inspired on a hybrid of Clash of Clans and Clash Royale with other innovations like leveling up through historical eras. And of course, I think when players really understand what Web3 means for them, not from a speculation perspective, but really from a power perspective in the games that they love, I think this is definitely going to be a game changer. And I see a future where players are really going to demand these models to any game that exists. I hope that we are closer to that and really cry. And it has been a real pleasure. We love Web3, we love crypto, and we love gaming like you do. So I hope we can engage and meet more often in more opportunities.
I hope so as well. And you just said something, Clash of Clans and Clash Royale. Oh, that is the perfect combination of card game and strategy together. And I always tell this story whenever we have a gaming guest. Is I used to be a big Blizzard Hearthstone player, and I stopped 6, 7 years ago. And on all those I think $200 a year times 7 years that I spent on those cars are gone, because I'll never play the game again. And this is where Web3 comes into save. And I hope more traditional gamers will watch this video and realize that we do need a better model, and then you guys are building that for us. And I wish you guys all the success. All the social links will be down in the show notes. And if you guys want to do another episode next year sometime, let us know what's happening with Second World. I'd love to do it. I love games. Crypto is awesome, but I love crypto and gaming more than regular crypto. So guys, thank you so much for your time and for being up early, especially given how hard you've been working. I appreciate it so much. And I look forward to talking again in about 6 months or so.
Hopefully. It was really lovely, Ryan, and we are aligned in our tastes, and I hope to catch up very soon. Thanks a lot for giving us the mic today. It was really special as on this huge day for us.
Thank you guys.
Thank you very much.
And thank you as well, Carlos. You guys take care.